Hey guys, it's Mike here, GM of the Oilers and one of the league commissioners of the GFHL, the Western Conference Commission. Just wanted to make a brief video here of the draft. We're doing a little draft review of the 2023 results. Just kind of go through some of the picks, some of the stuff that I liked personally seeing, some of the stuff that might be a little questionable. But I mean, it's just only my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. Um, yeah, I just want to make sure that we got all the screens up here. So this is the Hockey DB page. Obviously, everybody's familiar with this one. Right now, I'm on Josh Anderson, but we're going to be looking at a few different guys here. Also have the cap friendly site up here, so we can do a little more in depth on some of the prospects. Um, the elite prospects page doesn't work all that great on my laptop here, but the cap friendly does. So I usually go to here just to check out stats and team rosters. Obviously, you guys do this as well. And then we've got the GFHL site up here. We have the draft results all the way from 1 all the way to the last pick, number 78, plus the current rosters. I'm just going to make sure that everything is correct on here. We're going to do a little refresh. And then the draft picks page where we can look at the upcoming draft picks for 2024, which we might dive into this a little bit if we have time. Again, I don't want this video to be super long, but I do want to kind of go in depth on some of it here. So obviously, everybody at this point thinks their team's a winner. They think they've had a great draft, that they've gotten the guys that they want. Most of us, anyway. Looking at the top of the list here, it's no surprise who went first overall, Mr. Connor Bedard from Anaheim. I'm not going to spend too much time on him. We all know how good he is, and what kind of a player he's going to be at the next level with the Blackhawks in our league, the Ducks. Um, you know, I found it really interesting. These four guys, the order that they went in. Fantilli going number 2. Not a huge surprise there. I mean, he was the Hobie Baker Award winner this year. Obviously, he's supposed to go number 2, and he did in our draft. This is where things get interesting. The Matvei Michkov pick here by the Rangers. I know Franny and I had some discussions on this pick leading up to the draft, and I kind of got the feeling that he was leaning towards Michkov over. I think Carlson was the other guy he was looking at for that pick. But yeah, I think Michkov is the real deal. The only problem with him is you're gonna have to wait a couple years for him to come over. Uh, let's just dive into Michkov here briefly. Obviously, the Flyers got him in the real draft. If you go to the reserve list on some of these teams, you can get all their draft picks that haven't signed yet. So we'll go to Mr. Michkov here and take a look at his stats. Bear with me. Sometimes this computer can be a little slow. Okay, here we go. Michkov. Obviously, some of the stuff that stands out are his international competitions here. The Russia under 18 with the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. This is something I personally like watching or looking at when I'm looking at prospects, is not only how they're doing in their league and on their teams, but how they're doing in the international tournaments. Say in 2021, he WJC 18, the World Under 18 tournament, in 7 games puts up 12 goals, 16 points. Then he comes back. He's already playing in the KHL a little bit in 21-22 as obviously an underage player. And then he goes to the Hlinka Gretzky Cup and just lights it up. 13 points in 5 games. This past year, obviously, he played in the KHL a little bit. Um, 20 points in 27 games in the K for a guy who's only 18 years old is pretty special. The only problem is you are going to have to wait for him to come over, but I think that's a definitely a pick that you want to put on your reserve for a couple years, and then when he comes over, hopefully he can make an immediate impact, almost like a Kaprizov did, right? All right, I'm not going to dive too much into these top guys. William Smith, obviously, Will Smith's a great player. If any of you guys are following his career, he is part of the one of the most dominant lines in USA hockey junior history here, with Ryan Leonard, his line mate, one of his line mates, and the other line mate was Gabriel Perreault. So all three of these guys get picked in the first round of our draft. All three of these guys, Smith, Leonard, and Perreault, are all going to the same school. They're all going to Boston College in the U.S. For their first year, so they can actually play together in college, and they're probably going to dominate. You'll probably see these guys together at the World Junior Under 20s in December and January, the one that we all like to watch over the holidays. These guys are going to be a force to be reckoned with. So Carolina with a great pick with Will Smith, Winnipeg with Ryan Leonard, another good pick there, and then myself, I grabbed the other guy on the line, Gabriel Perreault. I wasn't too sure if he was going to make it all the way down to 20. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't get picked a bit higher, but all the guys in front of him here, these are all solid picks. One thing I think you guys did a great job with your picks all throughout the draft. Definitely, it's tough to get the guys you want these days, and there's just been some solid overall picks. Leo Carlson going to Florida, number 5 overall. He should be a franchise player. The one thing I really liked about this draft, the 2023 draft, is it's an impact draft, guys. It's a very strong draft here. We have guys that are being picked in the anywhere between the 10 to the 25-30 range that could have kind of been interchangeable, and they're all solid prospects. So if you're getting a guy from this 2023 draft in our draft, chances are you're going to get a pretty solid player, either a first line player, top 6 forward, top 4 defenseman, potentially a couple starting goalies in this draft. We can have a look at some of those guys, but I do want to focus on a couple guys here. Dalibor Dvorsky, number 7, goes to Seattle. He got picked by the Blues in the real world here, so we'll just go to the Blues for a sec. Check out his stats. Dvorsky, he could be a franchise player. He could also be a guy who, he may not pan out exactly the way the Blues think that he's going to. But Dvorsky is a interesting player for sure. He was a guy that I was doing some scouting on. Then I realized he wasn't going to be falling to my pick, number 2020, and I don't see him on here. So, that's interesting. Sorry, guys. I thought he would. I don't know why he's not on here. See if we can. I don't know if they fucked up here or what, but yeah, he's not on here. So we're gonna have to go to Hockey DB, take a quick look at Dalibor Dvorsky. Bear with me, guys. Sometimes the spelling's not quite correct there. As you can see, when you use the Hockey DB site, you can see their tournament stats here. The thing I wish they would do is I wish they would link the team stats so that when you clicked on Slovakia under 20, you could see like the whole team stats. Because if you click here, it just takes you to the entire list. So, I mean, as you can see, this is from the World Juniors last year. And we're scrolling here for Dvorsky. We're scrolling. He's way down here, way down here. Slovakia under 20. He only had 3 points in 5 games. Now, I mean, it's one tournament, guys, right? Like, it's not the end of the world. A lot of guys get overhyped because they have a huge tournament in this one, a huge showing, and they raise their draft or they raise their the hype level, right? They raise their draft status sometimes if they're not drafted, or if they already are drafted, then they raise their status, right? So, I mean, scrolling all the way down here for a guy who got picked in the top 10 in real life and in our draft, um, you know, is a bit scary. But I mean, he's only 17, right? He's one of the younger guys in all of this draft, um, and he's just a guy as a snipe. He is a sniper type pick, right? Now you look at his stats here with the Swedish league, and this is the Swedish elite league here, the Swedish number one. And he put up some points, which is great to see as an 18-year-old in the Swedish league. If you're putting up points, that's pretty good. The minus 19's got to get fixed, and in the playoffs, he was a non-factor. Now, that's not to say he won't be a factor moving forward. It's just you do want to see some kind of stats, even if he is this young, especially after he put up 14 points in 38 games. Obviously, dominated the Swedish Junior League. 10 games, he had 21 points, so that's no contest for him. And he played a bit in the Swedish League the year before, so I mean he's coming around. I just don't know what the ultimate ceiling is going to be with Dvorsky. Um, but he is a sniper type of guy. Obviously, he's skilled. I'd like to see some better turnouts here in these tournaments. I mean, he's supposed to be one of Slovakia's best players. You got to be putting out more than 2 points in 4 games, 3 points in 5 games, and some of it comes down to your line mates too, right? So we're not going to spend too much more time on him, but I just think that's kind of I think he is a risk in this draft. I don't know if I'd be comfortable taking him after I did some research on him. I know the Blues obviously liked him enough to take him 10th overall, and Seattle in our Neil in our draft obviously liked him, taking him 7th ahead of guys like Benson, Reinbacher, Sandin Palika, and guys like that, right? So, um, me personally, I like Benson better than Dvorsky. It's hard to compare forwards to defensemen. These two defensemen here, Reinbacher and Sandin Palika, are probably, in my view, the two best defensemen in this draft for the 2023 crop. I know Tom Willander got taken highly in the real draft ahead of Sandin Palika, and I don't see it. I think Sandin Palika is the better pick. So let's try to go to let's take a look at Sandin Palika here. I mean, this pick here, Luke Evangelista. I know it took Kevin forever to make this pick, and we were all bugging him about it, about how long it was taking. Uh, but you know what? That could end up being a really great pick. Evangelista is already in the NHL. He's already contributing with Nashville. He's got an opportunity with the Predators this year because of who they have on their team. So I'm gonna have to send a email here to Cap Friendly and get Dvorsky on here. I don't know why he's not listed there, but maybe because he's already signed. Maybe did he sign already? There he is. Okay. Yeah. So if they sign, they get put down here. If they don't sign, most of the guys haven't signed yet, so that's on me. Just take a quick look here at Dvorsky again, see if anything pops out at us. Yeah, he had a great WJC 18 this year, so 13 points in 7 games. I mean, that's huge. Obviously, that's a huge tournament. And the Holinka Gretzky Cup's been putting up points. So yeah, I mean, he's a guy to look forward to coming through. But I just think there's a bit of a risk here. Not necessarily thinking he's going to be I mean, he might not be a superstar, but he should be okay. But there always is that risk factor with some of these guys, right? I mean, the draft is an inexact science. Um, So I wanted to take a quick look at. I don't want to take a look at Benson. I mean, I think Benson in the end, I think Benson's going to be one of the better picks in this draft. To be honest with you, I really like his game. Played in the Western League this year and just had a great year. He should be on the Canada World Junior team. Let's take a look at these two guys, Evangelista, and I do want to spend some time on Sandin Palika. I think Pittsburgh made a great pick here. He was high on my draft board. I was hoping he would fall to number 20, to be honest with you. Um, I did get one of my top guys. I mean, I think it was between Perot and Sandin Palika. But let's take a look at Luke Evangelista first off, because this pick took forever for Kevin to make. And just have a quick look here. So as you can see, I mean, a couple years in with London of the OHL, just put up a dominant season here, 111 points in 62 games. Then he goes to the AHL and pretty much a point per game player already. He has a huge playoffs, 15 points in 16 games as a rookie. That's pretty huge. Then he just walks onto the team. Played some games with Nashville near the end of the year. 24 games, 15 points. This guy is he could be a contributor right away. Obviously, Duchesne's gone off the team. Johansson's gone off the team. They're gonna have to replace the scoring of those two guys. I mean, I know they had some down years. Duchesne only had 56 points. He's on my roster in the GFHL, and he was a bit of a disappointment. But then we have Ryan Johansson, 28 points, 55 games, not really cutting it. I mean, Evangelista put up 15 and 24. If he could make a jump here and get to say a 40 or 50 point guy, then he's already, he's already up here within their scoring leaders. I know they had a lot of injuries on their team. Obviously, Forsberg was hurt. A lot of guys hurt on this team, so they didn't really have a full roster all year. The only guy that played 82 games here was Colton Sissons, but I think he's got a great opportunity as a winger to come in here and be on a scoring line, right? So we'll see what happens with Evangelista, but that could be a really good pick. I can see why he got picked in the top 10. Not going to spend too much time on Reinbacher. I know there's some debate in Montreal over why they picked him over Michkov especially, but we're not going to dive too much into him. I think he's going to be a solid top 4 defenseman. He might not be a flashy guy. He might not be a big point producer, but he is going to be a guy that's going to log some 25 minutes a night, and he's going to put up some points, maybe 30, 35 points, and just be a solid two-way guy. I think Sandin Palika, though, is the guy who's going to be the offensive guy from this draft. And I know there's probably an easier way to look at these guys, so you'll have to bear with me, guys. I wish you could do it by draft. You probably can. I haven't played around with these filters too much. But we're going to go on to Detroit here. And the Red Wings are a team that is definitely on the rise. They're a team that's scary of how good their prospects are. And they are already a team that's got some younger guys on their roster. So we're going to... Yeah, I guess he hasn't signed yet. Okay, so we're going to go to the reserve list here. Axel Sandin, he's a right defenseman, which is always huge. Teams are looking at that for sure. And he shoots right. He's a right shot, right defenseman, so that's huge. Teams are looking for that for sure. Thing that pops out at me is he is a defenseman who, at 18 years old, is already putting up more than a point per game in his league, in the junior under 20 league in Sweden. That's pretty huge. To be a point per game guy in your own league is I mean a lot of these draft guys do it, but this is a defenseman. He's got 16 goals in 31 games. Now I know it didn't translate in the World Junior under 20s. I mean he only had an assist -4, so he really struggled there. But in the Holinka Gretzky Cup, he had an okay showing for a defenseman. I mean that's nothing to write home about. But this is the tournament. This is the one right here where I'm looking at, and this is a pretty solid under 18 tournament for him. 7 games played, he had 11 points, +8 as a defenseman. And he even played in the Swedish league last year. He played 22 games and had 5 points. To play in the Swedish league as an 18-year-old regular defenseman is pretty unheard of. Not a whole lot of guys can do it. And to do it at this level that he's been doing is pretty incredible. Now I know the stats don't look great, guys. Right? The stats don't look great here at all. I mean, he's had some years here, some stats here where he's barely got anything. But I think he's a player that is really going to thrive in Detroit's system. I think he's got future top pairing defensemen written all over him. And if he can develop and have a big World Junior tournament, that's just going to help his game and help his game out even more. I would expect him to be playing in the Swedish Elite League full time next year and put up some decent numbers. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get, I'm going to say probably between 20 and 30 points next year in the Swedish Elite League, possibly more. I just think he's a player that's going to grow huge with the Wings and in Sweden. And to get him 17th overall, I think was one of the steals of the first round of the real draft. To get him pick number 11 here, that's a great pick by Pittsburgh. Jack Campbell, the first guy off the board here at number 12 for Chicago, taking him off Carolina. Obviously, Jack Campbell had a rough year with the Oilers after he had decent seasons with the Leafs. 3.41 goals against average, 888 save percentage. Not going to cut it. They were not obviously expecting. They were expecting better things out of him than what they got. He's going to have to step up to take the next step here in his career and be that guy, be the number one guy, right? I mean, he's got to do it. I think he's got it in him, but this is a bit of a risk too. I mean, obviously goalies in our league are huge, and we say it all the time. You need goalies to win in this league, and it's true. So I wasn't surprised to see him taken. Um, it's just testing my free agent memory here. I think he's still on. Yeah, he signed that big deal, so he's still here. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, obviously him and Skinner are going to be split in time, but I mean, he's got to step up here. They got $5 million invested in him in the next 4 years, and he's really got to step up his game and be that guy. Can he play 50, 55 games, and and have the same success he had in Toronto? Right, that's the question mark. Little surprised that he was left unprotected, though. I mean, he's a guy that's going to get, between 35 and probably 50 games, depending on how much the Oilers play him. In the playoffs, he was lights out. I mean, he's kind of been all over the place in the playoffs throughout his career. He's either lights out or he's awful, right? So, um, in the playoffs, he put up some great numbers. That's encouraging to see. But he's got to get this back down to this level here, this 2.64. That's what the Oilers are paying him the money for, and this is what Chicago's hoping to get. This is a huge pick for Chicago here. I mean, get a goalie. The West is tough. The West is really tough in our league, and this is a big step for Chicago to try to compete against some of these other teams. Andrew Crystal. Interesting pick here at number 13. Definitely went higher than he did in the real draft. And we're just going to take a look at his stats. He is a sniper. and he is also a guy who is a really good skater. The knock on Crystal is not so much his stature as a player in terms of size and weight, but if he can be a two-way guy that they can count on. Oh, and I'm looking at the wrong team. He's on Washington, not Winnipeg. My bad. See, I'm still learning where these guys are too. It's been a summer where I've been pretty busy, and I'm just I did follow the NHL draft closely here, and I do follow these guys um, pretty regularly. I'm a big prospect guy, so I do look at this a lot. Um, but yeah, Crystal here. He was picked in the second round by Washington, and he got picked 13th overall in our pool. So that's a big discrepancy there. So you're wondering what I think it's Tampa, yeah, what Daryl's thinking here. Now, Daryl's probably thinking he's probably looking at these stats here and thinking, okay, I drafted a sniper, and that's exactly what he's got here. This guy here, obviously, in his prep years, he just dominated 80 points in 27 games. Then he goes to Kelowna first year. Basically, this was his first year, right? He only played 14 games the 1 year there. 61 games, 69 points. That's a pretty good rookie year. And then this year, he really took off. 54 games played, 95 points on a Kelowna team that you know they had a rough playoffs. They weren't very good, to be honest. I remember watching a documentary on them. I think it was on Sportsnet, and they were following Crystal and some of these guys, and they were just having a rough year. They had the talent to be better. They just never put it together. Obviously, I believe they were in the Memorial Cup. Didn't they host? No, that was Kamloops. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So Kelowna had a rough year. Um, Obviously, Crystal had a decent under 18 tournament, 6 points in 7 games, and the Helinka Gretzky Cup, he had 6 points in 5 games. So he's a guy that can snipe. I was really interested by this pick. I actually thought Crystal was going to fall. I really did. Then he got scooped up at number 13. Some of these guys that were first round picks in the draft were picked behind him. So obviously, Daryl likes what he sees in Crystal, and we'll see how it goes. Oliver Moore, probably one of the fastest guys in the draft, straight line speed. Islanders got a good pick here. Um, you know, I I think he's going to be a good player. I just don't know if he's going to be a star. He was picked by the Blackhawks, so obviously there is a chance for him to play some significant minutes there, and he's got the speed to keep up to with a guy like with Bedard. The problem with Moore is I believe he's also a center, and if that's the case, then he probably won't be playing with Bedard, but that could always change. Um, Oliver Moore was one of the U.S. developmental players this year, and yeah, one of the fastest guys in the draft. Maybe the fastest straight line speed. Um, from north to south type of we're talking here. But uh, well, as you can see, the Blackhawks are just loaded with picks here. This is going to be nuts the next few years. They're just going to load up their system. Let's take a quick look at Moore. And I'm already spending way too much time on some of these guys, but I just definitely wanted to go through some of these guys here and just get a more in-depth look at them. Oliver Moore. Okay, so he had a really good year. USA Under 18 World the tournament. He had 9 points in 7 games. USHL, where the juniors do have a team and they play in the USHL against some of the league teams. 25 points, 23 games, and then obviously then they play in against their own under 18 competition and 75 points, 61 games. I mean, he's skilled. Don't get me wrong. He's a very skilled player. Got picked 19th overall by the Blackhawks. I think he's going to be a good player. I just don't know how good he's going to end up being, and he is a center, so yeah, chances of him playing with Bedard are probably small, but he may be the second line center there eventually, right? I mean, obviously he could be, um, he could be like a benefiting off of all the attention that Bedard's line is going to get, right? So decent pick there by the Islanders and Greg. But I mean, Patrick Kane here. This could be a huge pick later on in the season. Patrick Kane could be trade bait. Obviously, you're taking Patrick Kane off a contending team and going to Toronto. Uh, Toronto is in a bit of a rebuild here. Obviously, Kevin's been building up his team over the last couple of years. This is definitely going to be a trade bait type pick, I would think. And it's going to be interesting to see where Kane goes. I think Kane's still got some life in his skates there. I just don't know how much of an impact he's going to have at this point in his career. But that's not a bad pick at number 15 at all, especially when, I thought Patrick Kane might be going top 10 in this draft. Honzik, decent player out of Calgary. St. Louis grabbed him. Not sure I like Honzik as much as, say, like a Matthew Wood or a Braden Yeager. I know Yeager's stock fell in the draft in real life and in this draft, but I still think I might like Yeager over Honzik. Me personally, I definitely like Gabriel Perreault over Honzik. Not to take anything away from Honzik, I just don't see anything special in his game. He's going to be a solid player, but I just don't see him being a superstar type of player. I mean, let's just talk about my pick for a sec. Gabriel Perreault here. He's going to be a boomer bust, right? He's going to be a guy that he's either going to be a top six forward or he's not going to make it. He's not a guy that's going to be playing in the bottom six. He's got, he broke the U.S. record for most points in a season. And I'm not going to spend too much time on him because I don't want to be talking about my guys. I want to be talking about your guys. And I do want to highlight the year that he had, though, because this was phenomenal. He got picked by the Rangers in the real draft, and he fell. There's some concerns there about how good he really is. Is he leeching off his line mates, Smith and Leonard, or is he helping these guys out, right? So Rangers picked him, and they can wait on him a little bit. He is going to be a guy that's going to be at the World Juniors here, and he's going to be part of that top line. He's also, again, going to Boston College and playing with these guys. So this season that he had, these numbers just pop out at you. Like 18 points in 7 games in the under 18 tournament. Will Smith led that tournament with 20 points. At the junior level there in the USHL, which are typically guys that are a little older than the US under 18 guys, and he put up 45 points in 23 games. And then he sets a U.S. record here, development record, 132 points in 63 games. Obviously, the offense is there. It's the rest of the game. Can it translate? He's not the best skater. He can get knocked off the puck easily, so he's going to have to work on his strength. But a couple years in college and some international competition, and he could be a top-notch prospect. So that's what I'm kind of banking on. But it is a boomer bust. Colby Barlow is more of a solid player in terms of that. I think he's got a lower ceiling but a higher floor. And I think you can really toss up between these two. Barlow's the safer pick. Perreault may be the better player in the end. We'll have to wait and see. Blake Wheeler, another great pick. Some people think Blake Wheeler might be done. He signed with the Rangers in real life, number 22, going to Ottawa. Steve gets Blake Wheeler. I like that pick a lot, actually. I think Wheeler's going to have a decent year with the Rangers. He only signed a 1-year deal with them. A lot of it's performance-based. So, I mean, he's going to be hungry. He's getting out of Winnipeg. Winnipeg wasn't a great situation for him there at the end. I know he's 36. I know he's got a lot of life under those legs there. He's had a lot of hockey life that he spent under those legs, but I still think he can help the Rangers out, especially if he's put in the right situation. And, he did put up 55 points last year and 6 points in 5 games. So, I mean, that's huge production, right? You're not going to, he's not going to be the 90-point guy that he was, but I think he can put up another 50, 60 points with the Rangers easily. as long as he can stay healthy, as long as he can do his thing, and he doesn't have to be the guy here anymore, right? He doesn't have to be the guy carrying the Jets. I know he got stripped of his captaincy last year, and that was kind of I think that was probably good for him, to be honest. But now that he's going to Winnipeg, I think a change of scenery is going to help him out huge. And yeah, I really think it's going to help his game out. And I totally forgot that he actually played for Atlanta there. Wow, way back, 17 points and 20. Like I love looking at this stuff, figuring out where these guys played, who they played with. But yeah, I forgot he went to the Thrashers there for a while. Wow, that's interesting. So yeah, I think that's a great pick for the Ottawa there in our league, and I think that's going to help him out in the East, especially this year. And we'll see what happens. Joe Wall, great pick here by Simon in Dallas. He's going to get some significant playing time with Toronto from the looks of things. Looks like it's going to be him and Samsonov in net. Maybe splitting time. Maybe Wall gets 25, 30 games. We'll have to wait and see. Tanner Janot, Islanders again. Islanders look like they're making some solid picks here. Getting the youngster Moore, and then getting another young guy off of a current roster, Washington there, right? So heard a lot of good things about him in Nashville. I know they like him a lot there, so that's a good pick. Looking at these other picks here, obviously we started getting into some of the roster guys down here. You get into the end of the first round, and you're going through either prospects or you're going through guys off some of the teams that left these guys unprotected. James Van Riemsdyk's another interesting one from Pittsburgh, right? He's in Boston now. He could be a productive player there as long as he can stay healthy again. Um, you know, Edward Saleh, I can't pronounce this guy's last name. Interesting player here. He's a prospect too. High end ability, really high end ability with this guy. Um, you know, I just again, you don't know, right? I mean, you're picking a prospect at the end of the day, but I know I liked what I saw from the draft this year, and I can't remember. Oh, Seattle took him. Yeah, Seattle. What a year for the Kraken! Like holy cow, they had a great season. Team definitely on the rise. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I'm sure some of you did. Their AHL team also had a huge season in the AHL there. They went to the Calder Cup Finals. I think they beat Hershey. I can't remember. I know it went to 7 games. I think they took down the Hershey Bears in the final. Um, but yeah, they have a shit ton of prospects coming up and some really good ones. And this is one of them here. Um, so again, he had a decent year in the under 18s, decent year with the Gretzky Cup. And I like looking at this kind of stuff because these international tournaments matter, man. It's the best of the best for your country. You're playing against some of the best players at your age level. This is where you show whether you can be a guy that can compete at the next level or if you're a guy that's going to get passed on by. He's already playing in the Czech League, Pro League, put up 14 points in 43 games. He's going to be at the WJC under 20s again this year. Probably going to be Czech Republic's one of their best players. They had a great tournament at the under 20s this year. I don't know if you guys caught a lot of their games, but they surprised a lot of players, or a lot of people, I should say, with their performance. So they got a lot of good players coming through right now. The Czech Republic is a program on the rise again, and this is one of their big guys here. So obviously he's going to be a guy that Seattle's going to wait on for a little bit, and they can afford to because they have so many other prospects coming up right now. So I mean that's a big time guy there. I took Riker Evans here. I'm just going to take a look at him. I took him in the second round, and I really like his game. I've read some really good things about him. The analytics love him. If you guys are in the analytics thing, this guy is one of the top-rated defensemen analytics wise, and for good reason. I mean, the Coachella Valley Firebirds is the Seattle farm team. Put up 44 points in 71 games, and then in the playoffs he puts up 26 and 26. So this is a player that can make the jump to the NHL next year. I'm hoping. That's why I snapped him up when I did with the 36th pick in our draft, and just hoping he can make the jump. I mean, we'll see what happens. He may need some more AHL time, but the analytics love him, and the stats here pop out at you, right? I mean, 26 points as a rookie defenseman in the AHL this year in the playoffs. That's pretty huge. So I like what I'm seeing out of Seattle. It was more so to show you, not to brag about Evans or anything, but to show you the type of players that they've got coming through their system too. They've got they've got a couple other real gems in here too, but obviously Shane Wright. We'll see what happens with him. Jaeger Furcus is another guy they have. So I mean, they're really starting to pile up. I watched Logan Morrison play a lot when in Hamilton here. He's a decent player. He could maybe make the NHL. Same with Winterton. So they have both Morrison and Winterton here, both solid prospects. So yeah, they're starting to really build up their system. Towards the end of the first round here, Jake Allen, a solid pick by Buffalo. He's going to be seeing some more action in the Montreal net. He's going to be splitting time with Monty though. Alex Iafallo, really good pick here again by Daryl. I think Iafallo is going to have a pretty big year with Winnipeg. He was part of that Dubois trade. I really like what Winnipeg got back for Dubois, and Iafallo is going to be a big part of that. So I think he could definitely improve his stats. JT Comper now is in Detroit. He signed a deal with the Red Wings in the offseason, so Nashville picked him up off of Minnesota. Seemed like Brett was picking off the West contenders all throughout the draft here, which is just fine. I mean, he's the champ; he can do that. And he's just trying to stay ahead of the beasts in the West here. The West is so strong. It's just a fight. It's a fight to get in the playoffs. It's a fight to make it out of the West, to make it to the league final, and then it's pretty much impossible to do it every year to get through the West. It's so competitive. I like the Brett Pesce pick here. I had my eyes on him. He's just a solid defenseman. He's not gonna wow you with anything. He's not gonna put up huge stats, but he is going to put up some solid numbers. Looking through the second round, we're going to wrap this up, guys, pretty quick here. I don't want to get too in depth here. The video is already long enough as it is, but Josh Anderson was a great pick by the Rangers here. I think he's going to really help out Franny's squad. He could eventually get moved out of Montreal and onto a serious contender, but right now he's a guy that's going to get you 20 goals. He's going to get you 80, 90 PIMs. He's just a guy that you can use as an enforcer. You can use him as a forward if needed to. Solid player. I like the Matthew Wood pick here by Calgary. Rumor has it that there was a trade that was made during the draft, so Wood is not actually going to be on Calgary. He's getting moved, but Wood is a blue chip prospect. He was number 2 on my list behind Evans, actually, to be honest, when I sent the list in. You know, knock on wood is his skating. He's got a lot of work to do with his skating, but I've heard comparisons to Mark Stone, and if that's any indication of what kind of a player Wood's going to be, then that's a gem for Nashville there in real life and in Calgary in our league. But again, I did hear there was a trade there. I can't get into specifics, but yeah, he is on the move. This was an interesting pick here, Brad Lambert. I mean, Brad Lambert's got a lot of talent. I just don't know if he's ever going to be able to put it together. He was supposed to be, last year, he was supposed to be one of the top guys in the draft. He fell. There's some character concerns there. There's some off-ice concerns about how much he's willing to put in to his game. But the skill's there. Finnish prospect. He's just an interesting guy. You don't see a whole lot of Finnish guys named Brad Lambert. And I watched a bit of him during the World Junior Tournament, and he can turn it on. He's definitely there. The skill's there. It's just, can he put it all together? It's a lot of these prospects are the same, right? Gabriel Landeskog. I mean, I love the guy. I love the player. I just don't know if he's ever going to be healthy. Seattle can take that risk, right? Seattle is an up and coming team in the West. Neil can take that risk. He picks a guy off of another West team, Calgary. So I mean, he's hurting one of his teams that he's competing against, and also bolstering his roster with a guy that you can put on the reserves for a while until he gets healthy, and then he can help you out. Hopefully his career's not done. Hopefully he's still got some good hockey left in him. This pick here, Emil Andre, I think it's a great pick. People might not know who this guy is, but Calgary definitely does. And Jason, you made a great pick here. He was high on my list. He is a Philadelphia Flyers prospect in the real world here, and he is a guy who he opened my eyes for sure when I was watching him at the World Juniors, and yeah, he's going to be a guy that's going to contribute. Whether he's a top four defenseman or a top six, I don't know. But he is a guy that's going to be. I think he's a top four. He's a guy that's going to contribute. I mean, look at the World Junior tournament he had. I know it's only the World Junior. It's only one tournament, but again, 8 points in 7 games. Um, then he plays this past year. I remember watching him on Sweden. Okay, this is a guy that I got to keep my eye on. Then he goes to the AHL after his Swedish league season, where he put up 26 points in 51 games. That's a huge season for a guy this young, and also 6 points in 10 games in the AHL. So I mean, he's got to work on his defense. I think the defense will come around. -4 and -2 in the AHL. In 13 games, he was a -6. So obviously, he's got some work to do. -3 in the Swedish league as well. I know plus minus isn't the greatest metric of players' defensive abilities, but I think he's going to improve on that for sure. Uh, he's not a big guy. He's 5'9", 181. So that's the knock against him too, right? And he got picked in the second round by 2020, so he's been a prospect for a couple years now. But the Flyers, he's probably going to play with the Phantoms this year full time. He might see a cup of coffee with the Flyers this year on their blue line to see what he looks like. He may make the team out of camp and just see what he looks like the first few games. But this is a player to keep your eye on. I think he is going to develop into a top four. And for a guy who I don't know how many people actually knew about this guy or realized how good he is, I think that's a great pick there. Dmitry Simashev, this guy could be the question mark of the entire draft. Is this guy really this good? He got picked high in the real draft by Arizona, like 6th overall, ahead of Michkov. I don't know. I don't know how good this guy is. Getting picked 42nd by Colorado in our draft, that's probably a steal. I just don't know how good he's going to be. You take a look at his stats, and just I don't see anything eye popping coming out. I really question what Arizona did in this draft. They drafted the two Russian guys, and they could have had two of the U.S. Junior team if they had picked Leonard and Perot with those picks, right? But instead, they went with the two Russians, and I don't know if that's gonna pan out. I mean, obviously, they have a shit ton of picks coming up too. Coyotes have been building for a long time now, and the Coyotes also have some prizes here in their farm system. Logan Cooley is a prize prospect. He just signed. He's going to be on their roster for sure. With Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller is probably the most underrated player in the league as far as I'm concerned. The guy just does not get enough attention. But yeah, they picked this guy number 12 overall, and Simashev number 6. So I was looking at this guy and I'm just like, I don't know. Is he? I know you can't go by the stats. He's got great size, 6'4", 201. So that's part of it. But for a guy who gets picked 6th overall in the draft, to me, this MHL. So the MHL is a Russian junior league. It's basically like the equivalent of like the AHL, okay, in Russia. So there's the KHL, which is obviously the pro league, the MHL, which is kind of like the AHL equivalent, and they have the VHL, which is like the junior league, right? Okay, so the MHL is, they should be he should be putting up better stats than this in the MHL if he's going to be a top pick. He had a great playoffs, 6 points in 10 games. And maybe the potential is there, but again, this is another guy who, like, I don't see a whole lot of juniors, like, world tournament stats here from him, right? There's nothing here to indicate that he's really, you know, he played Russia under 16 and he dominated, but international wise, I mean, he hasn't really played anything. He went to the I don't even know what this is. The Youth Olympics, maybe. EYOF. If somebody knows what that means, let me know. I should have looked it up a long time ago, but I haven't. And he put up 0 points there. Second year in the MHL, and his stats actually got worse. Like, I I don't know about this guy, man. I think this is a huge risk. I don't know if this is going to pan out for the Coyotes, but and I definitely would have. Honestly, I mean, if you're gonna take this guy, you may as well take Michkov, right? I mean, like, I don't understand it, especially to get fans in the seats. But anyways, Arizona makes some interesting picks sometimes, and Colorado, I mean, this could turn out to be a big pick. Who knows? Scott Mayfield, obviously a productive player. Chicago gets him, so Chicago adding some productive players to their team this draft. That was one thing I noticed for sure. Matthew Phillips going to Tampa, so another good pick by Daryl. Jesse Ylonen. Braden Yeager fell. I know he didn't have the greatest season for a prospect, but to see him drop to 47 was pretty interesting. Was kind of hoping he'd drop all the way down to where I picked down here, but no, that wasn't going to happen. I lost Radko Gudas to Nashville, so again, Brett taking a guy off of West Contender. Gudis is going to be solid for you, Brett. He's a productive player. And the thing I love about Gudis is he gets the hits and he gets the blocks and he gets all the stuff that sometimes people forget about, right? So he's going to be a good player for you. Carson Soucy going to San Jose. That's a good pick. Bernard Docker, we'll see what happens with him. He could be a productive player, like I said in the chat, or he could not. I mean, I think he's got potential, untapped potential there, but is he going to get a chance to show it? Islanders lose back-to-back guys here. That hurts, right? You haven't lost anybody the whole draft, and all of a sudden, boom, 2 picks later, Moore and Lowry off your team, going to Seattle and Arizona. So again, the West loading up on some real NHL talent. I definitely went. I went for prospects this draft. My team's not getting any younger. I really felt like there was some really good blue chip prospects in this draft that we could pick. So I went kind of prospect heavy, where some of my other guys that I'm competing against went for NHL talent. Nate Danielson is picked by the Rangers here, 54th overall. We were making jokes about Danielson's mom there in the chat. Danielson had to wait a long time to get his name picked in our draft here. He's the 9th overall pick in person, in real life, and he gets picked in fantasy 54th overall. There's questions about how much of an offensive upside Danielson really has, but his two-way game, he's one of the best two-way players in the draft, hands down. He could be like a Ryan O'Reilly type. I've heard comparisons to O'Reilly. Also possibly like a Phil Deneau type, where he's going to get you 50 points, 45, 50 points a year, and he's going to be a great two-way player. Trey Augustine, this is the pick that really, really hurt me. Dallas Simon, I think that's a great pick. For those who don't know Trey Augustine, he is the goalie who the Red Wings picked in the 2023 draft. He is basically the leading candidate to be the Team USA World Junior goalie this year. And he is going to NCAA. He's going to go to Michigan State to play, so the Red Wings can definitely keep close eyes on him. And he had a great season with the U.S. team. Trey Augustine. Here he is. Probably, in my view, he was the best goalie in available in the 2023 draft. He got picked 41st overall in that draft by the Red Wings. He's not huge. He's 6'1", 190. He's from Michigan. So obviously Detroit knows what they're getting with this guy. Stats don't jump out at you. Um, he did have decent, a really good World Junior under 18. Against the older guys, he's kind of struggled a little bit in that tournament. He was basically the guy that went in for USA once they realized that their number one starter was not very good. So they used him basically as a underage goalie, and obviously he struggled, but he should get better. He'll be in the World Juniors again this year. Probably be USA starter. In the USHL, he was dynamite. With the national development team, he was dynamite. Obviously, that's a strong team in front of you, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when he goes to Michigan State, to see what his stats are going to look like, how much of an impact he's going to have there. Michigan State's kind of a weird program when it comes to hockey. They're not one of the top programs, but there are guys going through there that are top prospects. University of Michigan gets most of the top guys in the college, right? So we'll be interesting to see what he does in Michigan State. I think I think if you wait 3-4 years on this guy, he's going to need some AHL time to develop, but I think he can pay huge dividends down the road, which is what you want in this league. The goalies are huge. Bobby Brink out of Florida, picked by Vancouver. Bobby Brink's got all the skill in the world, just don't know about his skating. He's got competitive fire, though, so I think he'll overcome the skating issues. I just don't know if he's going to be a top 6 or a top 9 guy. Michael Rabel, another goalie, which was taken after Augustine in the draft. Rabel actually got taken before Augustine in the real draft. And he's a huge goalie, 6'6", got taken by the Coyotes. He was also in the USHL, and I believe he was the Czech goalie in the World Junior tournament, and put up some decent numbers there. So I think Rabel's not a bad pick. Again, if you're willing to wait 3, 4, 5 years on these guys to develop, then you might get a number one goalie out of it, right? Or you might not. Goalies are tough. You might be waiting 7, 8 years on these guys, so it's tough. I mean, I've drafted some goalies high. This guy has all the potential in the world. Though he's huge, 6'7", 215. Again, coming out of the Czech Republic, he had a great under 18 tournament, had a great Gretzky Cup, and he had a pretty good year in the USHL as well. He's got some decent stats here to back it up. He could be the best goalie that comes out of this draft. I'm not gonna lie, this guy could be legit. It's him or Augustine, or possibly Jacob Fowler, the guy that I took. Jacob Fowler was the USHL goalie of the year. Had a fantastic playoffs with Youngstown in that league, and I'm hoping that he can split time with Augustine, maybe on the World Junior team for US there, and take a few starts off of Augustine if he struggles. So, when you get to this point in the draft, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? You're in the second round. You're picking guys that are either going to help your team out now or some long shot prospects, right? I mean, a guy like Otto Stenberg. I pick Otto Stenberg in the second round, late second round here. He gets picked by St. Louis in real life. Okay, he gets picked 25th overall. This guy's looked outstanding in international tournaments, like one of Sweden's best players. But in his actual league, hasn't looked that great. So, he's a guy that maybe next year, maybe he actually comes out and plays great in the tournaments and in league. Same as Casey. New Jersey prospect. I'm a Devils fan, so I know a lot about the Devils prospects. I'm really excited about Casey. I honestly didn't think I was going to get him at 63. I thought he was going to get picked, somewhere in the high second round here. with getting Evans and Casey, I think I've really solidified my defense for the future. Um, I think Casey's gonna have a great year with Michigan. Some of the plays he makes are just unreal, and we'll see what happens here with him. Getting into the third round here, I mean, it's such a crapshoot. I like the Christian Kyrou pick that Carolina made out of Boston. I really like that pick. Tatar still hasn't signed. If he does, he's going to get 40 points no matter where he goes. He's just awful in the playoffs, but don't have to worry about that. Sam Steele, interesting pick here by Franny. I mean, he's a guy that put up huge numbers in junior. Hasn't really put it together in the NHL yet, but he's still young. He's only 25. He's on Minnesota now. He's going to get a chance to maybe put up some decent numbers there. So we'll see what happens with him. Here's my dark horse goalie pick here, Jacob Fowler. If you want to look up him, he's a third-round pick out of Montreal in the real draft here. Again, he had a great year in the USHL. Getting Essa Lindell in the third round is always a good pick. Connor Sheary, didn't do a whole lot for me when I got him off of Talon in Vancouver there. But he's a solid player. He'll get you, 30, 35, 40 points. Definitely a good two-way player. And, here's Daniel Butt here, number 74 overall. Now, again, he's another Russian. 12th overall pick in the real draft. Hasn't put it together yet. His again, you'll go look at his stats. It's not pretty. I don't know. I just don't know what Arizona's thinking. But hey, if these guys pan out, then I'm wrong, and I've been wrong lots of times, as we were talking about in the draft chat. So Quentin Musty, number 75 to St. Louis. This could be the steal of the draft right here. Getting him with the 75th overall pick. I had him pretty high on my list. I was looking at him up here in the 62, 63 range. I ended up going with Stenberg instead, but it was between him and Musty, really, were the two guys. I heard he looked really good in the Sharks minicamp they had after the draft. Questions with his skating as well, but I think he's going to be able to put it together. He's a guy that plays in the OHL, so if you live in Ontario and want to go to a couple OHL games to see him play, definitely recommend doing that. And I think he's going to turn out pretty well with San Jose. San Jose's got some pretty good prospects coming through, and they definitely going to have room for these guys. They're going to give these guys an opportunity. So that's a great pick there by Mike Collins there. I know we had to wait a while for that one, but he came through with a great pick, I feel. And I'll be honest, I don't know who Nikolai Kovalenko is, so I'm really curious to see who Boston took here. I have not looked at him yet, so I am going to do a quick check. And he's a guy that just was not on my radar. Wow, okay. He's 23 years old. He's picked by Colorado, Kovalenko. 54 points in the K. Okay, so he's been in the K for a while. Put up a great year here. I'm assuming he's going to be in the NHL here. Again, I apologize, guys. Like I said, it's been a busy summer so far. So I've been playing a lot of baseball, and here we are. Wow, Nikolai Kovalenko. Okay. Playing a lot of baseball and just trying to be outdoors most of the time, so I haven't really been on the computer a lot looking at these guys, except for the last probably a couple weeks. But Kovalenko, okay, so he signed with Colorado. Okay, I like the pick. I like it. You're taking a chance on this guy, but if he gets some solid playing time, look out. Been in the KHL for a while. He's proven himself now. Had a big year last year in the K. So, he could be a guy that can contribute right away in the NHL, or he could be a guy that has to go down the AHL. That's happened before too, right? There's been a lot of guys that I've looked at that thought, oh, they could make the jump from KHL right to AHL right away, and they don't. They kind of just need some AHL seasoning, and then it's a matter of whether they want to be in the AHL, right? Some of these guys think, oh, I'm a top dog in the KHL. I don't need AHL time, right? So he was made the World Junior team there with Russia. Been in the KHL for a while, so he is a pro. He's an older guy, 23 years old. Not the biggest guy, but you know what? If he plays on a skilled line in Colorado, then yeah, I can see him. I can see him putting up some points. So, not a bad pick by Wally there at the end. Um, Honestly, I had no idea about him. He kind of slipped through my radar, so it was interesting to see his name there at the end. And yeah, so guys, I mean, I think everybody did a great job. I'm not going to really go through the rosters here yet. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of guys that need to be dropped. Some of you guys have about 8 roster spots filled with guys like, San Jose here and Seattle. Like, you guys are going to have to drop some guys for sure. But this is the fun part, right? It's the fun part of the league where you decide who you're going to keep, who you're going to drop. This is where trade discussions start coming through again. If there's a couple guys that you don't want to drop, maybe try moving them to somebody else. So this is where the fun stuff begins. And I know it's going to be another great year in the GFHL. And just looking at the picks for next year, a couple things popped out at me. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Obviously, this is going to change. Obviously, we all know Kevin's already got some picks. Franny in New York, he's got both my picks, and he's got 6 picks overall. So that's off to a great start. His rebuild is in full mode here. And then the thing that jumped out at me too was the other Hamilton guy, um, Talon. One of the other Hamilton guys, I should say. He has 3 first-round picks already: Vancouver, Vegas, and New Jersey. So he's loading up on picks for next year as well as he continues his rebuild. And I just want to say, guys, on behalf of the committee, I think Paul and Ed and I would all agree that you guys did a great job being prepared. For the most part, it was good. We did have to wait on a couple people, which is fine. I mean, I know life gets in the way, and it's tough to sometimes get on the computer and or on your phone and make a pick. Didn't have any real issues this year. Everyone was prepared, and like I said, I just want to thank you guys for doing that. I know this is one of my favorite times of the year, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how some of these guys pan out. If you do want me to make another video on certain players, just send me a message. I'll try to do some of these videos maybe a little more regularly, and hopefully have some fun with it this year. Maybe do some trade analysis. Maybe we can do maybe go through some of the rosters and do some predictions. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I hope you guys had fun with listening to this. And it's something that I'm trying to work on to help out the league a bit. Something that I feel like can maybe help the league out and have some fun with, right? So if we can, if you guys have any suggestions about what you want me to maybe make videos on, then I can try and do that as well. So that's it for now, guys, and we'll talk to you guys on the throughout the next couple months here. So that's all for now. All right, take care.